What's up, guys? Thanks for coming out with us today. We're going to talk a little bit about what we see as far as mistakes from drawing from the holster. Also, for most of you who are not subscribed, so please hit that like button and subscribe. It really helps us out if you want to support the channel. First and foremost, let's just say this, and I know this is kind of a default answer, but get some training. There is no replacement ever for live training, and this is not by any means training. These are just tips and ideas that I want you guys to think about with your trainer, wherever and whoever they are, okay? Specifically when we come from the holster, this is where people try to rush things a lot, and you really start to see where the wheels come off. And I can just say, generally speaking, we want to become more efficient to become faster, not by rushing it. And certainly, if we don't have the knowledge behind it, we can't have the skill set, okay? So that knowledge base is really important. So for this one, I'm just going to use a magazine to be the gun for a moment, just so you can understand what I'm saying here in a safe manner. So this is my pistol. I see this a lot. There's not a lot of understanding of where this hand is or what it should do or what its purpose is, and a lot of times it ends up in a dangerous place. What do I mean by that? I mean that this person goes to draw their gun and then they end up in some form or fashion coming across and muzzling their own hand. One, it's super dangerous. Two, it's ineffective. And it doesn't make any sense because this hand is critically important if we have the ability to get two hands on the gun to play its part as a support hand, because the support hand is where all your stability and the grip really comes from. Your shooting hand, your primary shooting hand that is basically pressing that trigger straight to the rear, hopefully, in order to get our results. So this hand is very important, and what we don't want to end up doing is muzzling our own hand. Super dangerous. This is another big mistake I see, and people, they're trying to draw fast, they generally don't have a good guideline, no training for this, and so they're doing one of two things. We either call it bowling or we call it fishing, right? So you'll see them come out of a holster, whatever their method is, and they end up taking the gun like this. This is what we would call bowling, right? Bringing the gun upward. This is very ineffective, and until I actually have an opportunity, I can't actually shoot till the gun's parallel to the ground, right? Even if I just shot straight forward. Well, that doesn't happen until almost the very end of everything. If we did this properly, I would be able to shoot them pretty much the second it comes out of the holster. I drop my elbow, and then right here I'm already straight. I'm already parallel. If there was someone directly in front of me at bad breath distance, we're good to go already, okay? And then from here, I'm just driving out to my line of sight. The other one we're gonna see a lot is the fishing, right? So you're gonna see people, and I don't know if this comes from, generally I see this from the older crowd. I don't know if it was like an old, I don't know where this came from, but generally older shooters, I see this a lot. They bring the gun out and they bring it up high like this and they drop it down. And they call this the fishing one. Either way, we're not being very effective with anything. One, we're coming all the way up, we pass the potential target, we come over top, and then we come and bring it back down. So either one, bowling or fishing, we want to get rid of that. What we really want to do is come straight lined, get to our points of contact here, the gun's already level, and all I'm doing is driving up to my line of sight. Much more efficient. It's not about, if I did both of these, bowling or fishing, I'd have to really move fast when I could take my time, be level, and I'll still be out faster because it's not about rushing, it's about efficiency. The next one, and I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna turn my back here for a second. Having a natural spine alignment, like as if I'm talking to you, right? I don't talk to people like this or like this. You have a natural spinal alignment. It's how we walk around normally. It's how we're designed to function. And believe it or not, this is how we're going to shoot the best. But you'll see this all the time on the range. The person will come up there and they're trying to shoot fast or draw fast. They end up doing this turtle thing, like they're crawling through a tunnel. Again, I want my lower body to be in a position where I have good stability. And we're going to talk about that one in just a second as well. But I want a good platform, a good positioning here that I can shoot from. From the waist up, I'm as natural as I can be with spinal alignment. I'm simply staying laser focused and I'm bringing the gun to my line of sight. You're gonna notice if I go from the back, watch my spine and my head, as I go to draw, I just bring my gun up to my line of sight. Remember, it sounds funny, but this should be moving, not this. All right, so, and I don't also want to come halfway here and then make it up this distance. Now I'm taking two things moving in space and time. It's not very efficient. Keep this where it is, lock onto your target, and then bring the optic to your face or your sights, whatever sighting system you guys are using. Here's another, I don't know, more of a pet peeve of mine, and that is stance. I don't use the word stance in my training. I try to get rid of that word because stance indicates I'm standing still, and it's like a set thing, okay? And I realize that there's going to be a position here where your feet and your knees and your waist and so forth that's going to be advantageous to shooting. So for example, as a right-handed shooter, I'm going to have my right, basically the toe box of my right foot kind of in line with the heels of my support foot. I'm in my knees bent, and I'm in a good athletic position wherever my buckle, whatever direction my buckle is going to go. If I were going to run this way, I would literally turn my whole body this way and go, because I want to be efficient, especially if I need to do this quickly, which obviously if I was in a life or death scenario, I would be. But going to a range, and I get it, and most ranges aren't going to allow you to move and walk and so forth. But don't always go to the range and shoot in the same position. Sometimes change it up. Put your other foot forward, whatever that is for you, the opposite of what you normally do. And people are like, why would you do that? Well, think about this. In real life, do you have to move? In a critical situation, would you be moving? Would you be walking? Would you be running? If that's the case, you're not always gonna, I'm not gonna be walking down a hallway, all of a sudden there's a threat and I'm gonna like get into some stance. I'm gonna be operating from that position. So I'm gonna be shooting from wherever my feet are. So as a good rule of thumb, when you go to the range, don't always stand in the same position, because in real life, you're going to be opening doors, getting out of cars, moving around, and in fact, you may need to use your gun. So if that's the case, get used to changing that up a little bit. Don't get married to the stance that I can't move, I have to stay right here and rigid and shoot. It's just not realistic. When it comes to drawing, the next big one is the holster itself. I have kind of a drop leg set up here for, I'm instructing and stuff, or law enforcement training and so forth. It doesn't really matter. But what matters is that the actual holster itself is a physically hard holster that stays open, especially if you're doing anything from concealment inside the waistband. Those nylon, soft holsters, super dangerous. Because what people are going to do is they're going to take this gun, they're going to try to pull this holster open. They're going to muzzle their hand. I've even seen people take the gun and actually stick it into the holster this way. So now they're pointing it literally on their body, trying to get it back in there. That is not a holster that I would ever recommend. You should not get that. You should get something that's going to stay open on its own, so that the holster is available, whether it's inside the waistband or outside the waistband, without having to manipulate it. This brings me to my other big point with the holster, and that is that somewhere on the internet, in the interwebs, we've created this nonsense where we have to be able to holster without looking it in. I don't know where they came from. As a law enforcement officer, SWAT operator, I've never in my career, I've never heard of that. I mean, I could slightly make an argument that I'm going to go hands-on with somebody and I'm going to put the gun. Even then, it doesn't really make sense. It's only going to take me a split second to look down to make sure I see where my holster is and there's nothing in the way, and then I'm going to be more effective than trying to find something in space. Because if I miss it, now I'm doing this. It doesn't make any sense. We're going to glance down and make sure it's in. Outside of that 1% possibility, there's no other way that makes any sense. Either the threat is neutralized, stopped, no longer a threat, whatever term you want to use, and then we know the scene is safe, the situation is safe, I'm not going to need to use this anymore or at all, and I'm going to look into the holster, my fingers off, and I put it in the holster, especially if you're running inside the waistband, especially if you're running inside the waistband appendix. We want to make sure that everything is clear, out of the way, my fingers straightened off, and I look that right into the holster. All right, guys, hopefully you got something out of that one. Some tips and things that we've seen over the years that may be helpful for you if you're doing any of these. Now you have something to work on with your trainer. You know where to find us here on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and Rumble. And of course, we put all our premium stuff on Patreon. Also, if you're a top tier Patreon at $25, every $25 is a credit towards class. So, for example, if you've had 4 months with us, you have $100 that we would take off a class as part of the Patreon deal there. Plus, you get all the content as well. So go ahead and check that out. Until next time, remember, it's always better to be judged by 12 than carried by 6.